Hello Internet, I'm Jackie Fox. Welcome to another match of Fox of the Hill. So far on the top of the hill we have KatanaMeta. Challenger is going to be Scint, and this is going to be quite a match. Scint is making sure to take full advantage of the Challenger rules to bring in the best team possible, so I think this is going to be a really exciting match to watch. I know both of these players play exceptionally well in manual, so it's time for a real nail biter here, I am sure. Let's get into it without further ado.
I'll protect you.
I'll let you see something really good. If you choose
Get
to
up
stand
and get
in the
moving.
Okay, clearly some thought was put into initial placement. Maybe they watched my previous video and heard me harping on that, but I think Scint's actually a pretty good player to get that figured out. Same thing going on the other side. Clearly people are paying attention to my commentary and earlier possible matches. Got that Veil of Woe off. Like I've said before, that is probably the most impactful buff to get off for Sephiroth. It just does so much for him. Do it. Although, there is no reason why you have to do it first. I do tend to, when I'm thinking about buffs that I'm getting off first well before I'm going to be getting in range, something like that HP barrier is a good one to get. Things that don't really have a term limit, or things that accumulate, like AP up is good to get off at start, because even if you run out of the 3 turns of that, you have the AP. It's not like you run out necessarily. So I prioritize buffs like that, things like shields that don't stick around for a number of turns but a number of hits. That kind of thing to start, like courage, re-raise, again, things that aren't going to wear off. And then as you move in closer, move into those buffs that have term limits. But on a short map such as this, you don't so much have to worry about that. You're only going to really get that 1 or 2 opportunities to do that. So we could have a situation here where Sephiroth gets in and is able to LB before the opposing Sephiroth is able to get that physical magical damage shield up from Veil of Woe. Looks like he couldn't necessarily get Sephiroth into range for that. We're going to see a retaliation of Hell's Gate, but we're also going to see that barrier come into play for that. The barrier is gone now, so we might be able to get some good chaining in here with Seymour and do some good damage. That was actually pretty good, and here's a third one. Oh, 2 chains and a water break.
Here's our chance.
That's really good, and this is something that I see KatanaMeta doing really well, is figuring out how to get his units to come in and chain together really effectively like that. He just snaps on you like a viper. Anyways, I have also seen similar things from Scint, and there is a lot of comeback potential for this team, so don't count them out yet. But if there's one criticism that I could make, it feels like that was some super duper overkill from Raychaz, using a 2-hit and a debuff like that on somebody who was that close to death and that far into a chain. Oh my gracious. Okay, Sephiroth coming in with the damage. It's gonna be really hard to recover from this. Yep, Jaden went down. There was a little bit of extra HP there. That might have gone okay, but that got rid of the re-raise on Sylvie if it was there. I don't think she got that buff off. She did?
I'll take care of
Oh, yeah. Was it? Okay, I guess he didn't LB. Man, I have goldfish memory sometimes, folks. Okay, here we are in fight 2. KatanaMeta has defended their title. This would be the 9th out of 10 wins in a row. Well, I mean, you know, 9 out of 10 of the last matches that KatanaMeta has been in has been wins. Clear, dominant champion at this point. What the fuck is virtual camera? I don't know what that does. I don't know why that was on, but whatever. Here we are, and this time we're seeing some more range. The big functional difference here is that we have Violet instead. We're also seeing people taking really good advantage of initial placement to get their buffs in without actually having to move. That is going to give them their next turn much sooner, or give them the ability to move forward after applying their buff. All of these things are really great things to think about when you're doing your initial placement. It's really helpful when you're doing your initial placement, when you're setting that up, when you're theory crafting that, to know which one of your units is going to have the most agility,
How about
remember
I
to
give
factor
you some
in when you're doing
special
that
attention?
unit resonance, who is standing closer to who,
All will go
because
well.
that can give a unit that's standing in the
I'm
middle
here
of
for you.
a
I'm going to
significant
enjoy
buff.
myself. Time protect you. Good work.
But that's the way you want to think about where you're placing units when you're doing your initial setup. So this is working out pretty well so far. My major critique of the way that previous teams have faced off against KatanaMeta's range team is that A, they don't have a ranged unit themselves, and B, they don't rush forward fast enough. And this team both has Jaden and is moving forward. I mean, this Violet is really changing the game and getting quite a ways across the field. Now, unfortunately, as powerful as she is, with all the AoE resistance that Phoebe is now rocking, she was able to tank her way through that just barely, but she is an SR unit. She's not a tank, she's a support. There's no reason that she should be taking big attacks like this. But that was a big follow-up there from Jaden, because that is a big threat that we've taken out of the game. And units are close enough to his side of the field that there's not time to sit back and get necessarily a full life in here with Phoebe. But I do like what KatanaMeta was trying to execute here. It's worked really well in the past. Surprisingly, Lucia is the really big threat on this team. She has ridiculous range, even for this map. But for this fight, Scint is going to be ending this off in a gleeful reverie of bullets with Jaden. So, with all of that being said, let's move on to the next match. We are 1-1. It is tied. So the winner of the next match is going to be the new or remaining Fox on the Hill. Alrighty, video 10, and we are starting in situ. Apparently we didn't get the very first part of this recording. It's all fine. Doesn't look like we've missed any moves. But I do want to point out that it looks like we're seeing the exact same teams again. Will we see the same result? Well, there is a bit of a hiccup that we will get to here in a second, because I am recording this for the second time, so I've seen this fight already. But it is a good one. You, my dear audience, are going to enjoy it. Because in this fight, even though Scint has what would seem to be a pretty significant advantage, somehow their initial placement has been reset. And this is going to be a significant disadvantage, because remember, in the last fight, I was really giving them a lot of credit for having a great initial placement. And if anything, I think that KatanaMeta's initial placement here has gotten even better.
If you choose to stand in my way, expect no
And
mercy.
we're going to see the application of both Guard Haste and the Vitalize effect through Speed Force applied to Lucia, as well as Lucia kind of getting in that buddy buff in for her first turn as well.
Hang in there. Good work.
So Guard Haste is up.
Are you okay?
That's going to boost speed by like
myself.
25, maybe 30%.
I'm going to enjoy myself.
And then Vitalize is going to do another 25% on top of that, because those two effects are different, even though they basically do the same thing and they do stack. Also some defense, some revitalization, so we're getting some AP in here as well. Just a whole lot of good effects to make her a sharp and efficient shooter. Like, we have loaded her up with all of the bullets and the quick load feature. We greased her gun, cleaned everything out, reduced the weight of her cape, you know, smooth board everything. Armor piercing bullets, high range equipment, jacked to the teeth.
Grant me the power to protect.
That being said, we are seeing this team kind of come back together. It looks like they're going to be able to get together for some semi-effective buffing. See, it's still not perfect. We're still not getting over to Violet. Violet's probably going to have to retreat and come back to get some good quality team buffs in. And even then, again, it's hard to apply them because it's hard to get her out in the center there. And if I'm not mistaken, Lucia should be able to start punishing from here. But this map being surprisingly short... Oh, no, she needed a little bit more range. Okay. Okay. Hopefully that means she won't have to move for her next shot, because Violet has pretty good forward movement and might be able to start threatening her pretty soon. So for people who didn't know it, more than likely the Energist type unit actually kind of makes sense on this team in a way that hasn't necessarily shown up before. In that a lot of her moves, even though they are magic based, are also missile attacks. So she has the potential to do some chaining with Lucia. The reason that we're not seeing that come up very often is that Lucia is more of a long range unit. And also, KatanaMeta is tending to keep more the merrier back, and she is more of a mid-range to short-range missile unit. So it's really hard for her to follow up Lucia's attacks, at least until the fight starts coming to her. Not a bad unit though. In the meantime, she does have plenty of appropriate buffs that she can apply. She can re-raise herself with some regen going. But these two units together have just enough range, and surprisingly, the thing that I had forgotten about Violet and a lot of the Persona 5 characters is that a lot of them, and I think she might have to back up a space, a lot of them have Gunner as like a sub-job, or some type of Gunner sub-job, or some type of gun-based moves, because in Persona 5 you have a melee weapon and you have a ranged weapon. So there she is, kind of showing, yes, I am a ranged unit, Jackie, you forgot about my sub-jobs. And that chain is pretty impactful, although with the support units being more in the back, with Phoebe being back here in the back, we do have the potential to see a full life here, kind of bring her back into the threat. Although, if that if the turn order doesn't quite line up for her, then that might be more of a distraction than it really is. Game changer. Speaking of game changers though, putting a shield on the entire team and restoring it to full health while the DPS on the other side is down, that is a really Chad way to keep your team safe. Big action Sylvie here. Apparently Violet didn't like what she saw when she ran over.
I'll let you see something.
What we've seen previously is that it's pretty difficult for Violet to one-shot Phoebe with her AoEs. However, it looks like this Phoebe is far more defensive than she is spirited. So Jaden is gonna come in with that long-range knockout. It could also be a matter of that slash resistance compared to missile resistance too.
I'll take care of it.
But kind of like I was saying, finally more the merrier is getting into range for close range magic missile attacks, and there is no one left to chain with. So what that means there is that Scint is our new Fox of the Hill. Scint, that means you're gonna have to redesign your teams a bit for the Fox of the Hill position. You're gonna be a little bit more limited in what you can bring to the table. You're no longer going to be able to play Violet and Sylvie shenanigans. You're gonna have to pick one or the other, but that should be pretty exciting. And just to keep in mind the record and what we're gonna have to accomplish. Because Scint is in the place in this that Scint has come in. Scint actually does have a good chance of at least tying and going into a sudden death at the end of the season. We have 2 more matches to go, which means that Scint, if Scint can win all 6 of those fights moving forward, then, and can full clear. Yes, no, that's the same thing. Then we've got 2 defends and 2 full clears, which ties KatanaMeta's record so far. And we only have 2 matches to go, so there is very limited time to pull this off. Scint, only you can accomplish it. So best of luck, buddy. And if you pull it off, you're gonna have to have a sudden death match. We're gonna have an unlimited, anything you want, manual, go all out, one-on-one, and I'll pick the map for you. And I hope that we get to see that, because that would be a tremendously exciting conclusion to the first exhibition season of Fox of the Hill. I don't know about you folks, but I'm excited to see where this goes. So, with that being said, see ya in the next one.